Hello again. Today I'm going to talk about the monastery, but this one, because this was at the beginning, so I said in an earlier vlog about a bit of my background, that I ended up going to a monastery because I believe that meditation, for me, was the key to unlock my experiences, what they're all about, life, the universe and everything. This is Jazz, by the way. One of 3 cats that I have. I first went to the monastery about 2003. I had a mentor, a senior monk, who was Japanese in origin. That's where he grew up and studied as a doctor. And he was my mentor. And when you first go there, I was all in white as, I can't remember the name, but he'll do like a year in white normally to see how it goes, see how you like it, how you get on the monastery, if you get on with everyone, whether you get on with the life, and then you can ordain further as a samanera, which is a novice monk, which I did, and then you can ordain further again as a full monk, which I was going to do, but I left at that point when I was going to do that. As I was all in white, I could still drive, because you're not allowed to drive in the Theravada tradition. But as a guy in white, you can still do many things. So my mentor was going to go on a 10-day retreat, and we had, the monastery owned a house, or was given a house, by someone who had died, had left it in their will, and it's in Norfolk, not far from Rendlesham, in actual fact, about a mile or so away from Rendlesham Forest, where one of the UK's most famous UFO incidents took place, if that's what it was. And Rendlesham Forest is known for many strange occurrences over hundreds of years, I think. Reports go back a long way. So it is an area of interest, regardless of whether you think Rendlesham was a genuine UFO encounter or not. We stayed in this house, and you could see the sea from the upstairs window. And so I went there with my mentor. He was going to have a silent retreat, so 10 days silent retreat. We stopped at the supermarket, and I bought a load of food. We eat twice a day in the UK version of the Thai forest monk tradition, which is what it was. You eat twice a day. You have breakfast, and you have a lunchtime, and then you don't eat till the next day. So I would make him breakfast, take it up to his room, knock on the door and leave it outside the room for him to take in, and the same with lunch, so as not to disturb him, and he'd have total peace and quiet for 10 days. So the first day we got there, we got there late afternoon in the end, and after driving all the way to this part of Norfolk from Hertfordshire, that's where we were based, I'd set it all up and put all the food away and everything, and we settled down. We was having a green tea, and upstairs at this like chalet bungalow was like an artist's area, studio. It had a big window, and it looked out towards the sea. The sea wasn't right next door, but it was just in the distance. You could see it. You could see ships on the sea, etc. And we were just looking out, just contemplating the moment, drinking green tea, having this conversation, enjoying where we were. And because we were going to have a conversation then and have some tea and relax, because when we went to bed next day, his retreat started in full. So we were up chatting, drinking tea till about midnight. And then we decided that was time to go to bed, and he started his retreat the next day. So we went to bed. And this is the first night there. What happened was, we went to bed, obviously, and whilst I was in bed, I was doing a meditate sleep. So what you do is you just lie down in your bed like you're going to go to sleep, but you go through the motions of meditation and allow yourself to fall asleep whilst in meditation. As I was doing that, I was semi-conscious and hadn't been in bed for that long. I had my eyes closed, obviously, and if you have your eyes closed and then like this, and you see a light, or you see something goes past, if you do it now in the daytime or in the lit room, you wave your hand in front, you can see a shadow going past in front of your eyes. Even though you can't see it, you can see like a shadow moving. And as I was sleeping, like I say, semi-conscious. I had this sort of effect going on with my eyes. I guess I subconsciously registered it, but didn't really think about it too much. And then it happened again, and I became more conscious out of my semi-conscious sleep meditation. And then a third time, I was like fully conscious. I was like, what's that? So I opened my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, to my shock, the whole room was completely full of a brilliant white light. The whole room was full of a white light. The way it was situated was the foot of the bed was facing the doorway that comes in, and then to my left there was a window. The curtains are drawn, and there was a small window, I think, to my left there. But the room was full of light, and I sort of looked around, and I could see the light appeared to be coming in through the bedroom window. So the light came down. I could see that the curtains were lit up behind, and I was just sort of like stunned and in shock, really. And what happened was I was then sitting up in bed because I sat up. I was like looking around, thinking, "What the hell's going on?" And I felt quite nervous, and I was looking towards the bedroom door in front of me. I noticed the window, noticed the light coming in, looked at the bedroom door, and I was expecting, because of my experience, I was expecting like some 4 foot tall grey alien to be coming in through the door any moment now. And I was in slight panic mode. I was like, and my eyes were getting wide. I was like, oh no, oh no. And but I was just like solid, like just rabbit caught in the headlights a bit. And then I sat there and sat there. Nothing happened. No one came in. And then it was like I blinked. I don't know what happened, but it was like I blinked, and then the light was gone, just like that. I don't know what happened, whether there was some missing time there or what happened. It was a bit odd, but the light was gone. I sat there for a few minutes, still just a bit nervous, and then eventually I managed to lie down nervously, went back under the covers, and fell asleep. I remember looking at my watch, and it was about 12:25, so it's only been 25 minutes since I'd gone to bed, and this event has happened. So I don't know how long I was lying there in, semi-conscious sleep, etc., in the meditation mode. I don't know. So the next day, I woke up, and for the next 3 days, I felt a presence in the house, and it was so strong that I could point to an area of a room and know that there was something there, and I could tell you that it was about 4 foot tall, and it was there, but I couldn't see it with my eyes. But every other sense was telling me there's something there that's 4 foot tall. And I even said out loud, "I know you're there. I can sense you there." And it would move around, and for 3 days, it was in the house in various places, but I could never see it. And it kind of unnerved me completely. And so the next night, I went to try and sleep on like this double sofa thing that was upstairs in this artist room with the window that overlooks the sea. I went to try and sleep up there because I didn't want to sleep downstairs because I was nervous. So I'm about 35, 37 years old or something at this point. So I'm a grown man, and I was afraid to go to bed. It really freaked me out. And but I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay on this sofa. This being, whatever it was affecting my mind and making my mind disturbed. And I knew it wanted me to come downstairs and sleep in the room downstairs. It didn't want me to sleep up there. For some reason, I don't think it could come and watch me upstairs. It didn't want to, or it couldn't for some reason. I probably just didn't want to for some reason. I don't know what the reason is. But eventually, after I tried to suffer with it for like an hour or two, hour and a half, because I really didn't want to go downstairs. In the end, I was like, okay. I went downstairs, and I sort of said out loud, "All right, I'm coming down to sleep in the bed downstairs," which I did for the rest of the time I was there. But it was only for 3 days, and then it was gone. But for the rest of the 10 days that I was there, it was really was really terrible. I couldn't talk to my mentor because he was on a silent retreat. I couldn't mention it. I really wanted to ask him, did he see any lights, the first night or anything, or did he hear anything? But I couldn't talk to him. I could have left him a note, but I thought I didn't really want to leave him that sort of note. That would disturb him on his retreat. So I thought, no, I'll leave it. But for the rest of the 10 days, I had to sleep with a light on downstairs. I slept with a light on. I couldn't sleep with all the lights off. So I was a grown man. I wasn't really afraid of much, but it unnerved me so much I had to sleep with the light on. So that was a definite event. Now, outside of now at this part of Norfolk, you do have like Chinooks helicopters. They fly over, not directly over the house, but they fly nearby, but they're very loud. And if one was over the house, you would definitely hear it. If you know what a Chinook is, and you've been near one, if you're near it, it's very loud. And whatever this light came from, it came from, I presume, directly above the house, because it looked like it was coming down through the window. Now, outside of this window, this house, this chalet bungalow, was about a quarter of a mile from a road, and it was in the middle of fields, and there was nothing around it. There was no roads around it. You couldn't see any car headlights. You could, like I say, you could see the sea the other side. And outside of the window, the light was coming in. There were these 30-foot tall fir trees, and there was like 5 or 6 of them that were only about 4 or 5 foot away from the window, and they were 30 foot tall. So even if a car had come down the driveway to the house, and the front of the house was sort of that way where the driveway came in, you wouldn't see lights shining in the window like that. This was coming down, so this was above. So because of the fir trees and everything, it had to be above the house, directly above. So yes, so it wasn't a helicopter. It was, and obviously I felt the presence in the house for 3 days, and I was confused. I thought maybe, I don't know why, but I think it was ETs. They have a very strong psychic ability and ability to control our consciousness and our minds and memories. And I was thinking, was it a ghost? Was it not a ghost? And of course it wasn't a ghost, because I could see where it is and I was pointing to it. But something was messing with my mind, and I thought, was it a ghost or not? But of course it wasn't, but I realised that eventually. But I was in a state of slight confusion there. But when my mentor came out of his retreat, I told him about this, and he didn't see any lights, he didn't hear anything. And I said, I don't know if there was a ghost in the place. I said, but it was here and it's been around. So he said, should we do some chanting, for any departed spirits? And I said, yeah, why not? So we did some chanting before we left. But it wasn't a ghost. I've experienced ghosts, and I will do a vlog on experiences with ghosts later on. But this was an ET contact experience. So I told him the story anyway, and he was quite interested in the abbot of our monastery, who a lot of people think is an enlightened person, and I think he is. I mean, I've experienced some interesting things about him with him, and he told him the story, and he meditated and looked at the time we were there, and he seemed to think, the abbot of the monastery, that there was a powerful being that had turned up there. That was his view on it, which was relayed back to me through my mentor. So that's very interesting. So I meditated on what was happening myself there, with the question, who and what was that all about? And what I got for myself was, for some reason, my presence there in that house at that time had triggered something, and some beings, some ETs, and they'd sensed me being there for some reason, and they had come there to see who and what it was. And so they'd come to, this is my impression, I don't know how accurate this is, but this is the impression I got, that they came to see who it was, and they were like, oh, it's okay, it's just Trev, kind of, and then left. I think the being that was there, that I couldn't see but I could sense the whole time, was there to see if I was okay. I think there was a 3-day period where I was being watched to make sure that I hadn't freaked out. Well, I had freaked out a bit, but I was still getting on with my life and doing stuff. It wasn't like I'd broken down or anything. I had a mental episode. It was just a bit of freaky. And he was there to see that I was okay and was moving back into my normal routines, and that it hadn't taken me out of anything that I should be doing, that I hadn't broken down or whatever. I think that's what I think it was. It was just an observation after the fact to make sure that I was all right and coping and carrying on with life. That was my impression. So that was that story there. That was so that was when I was quite fresh into the monastery. I'd only been there 6 months or so, I think. So I was still in White, and I was only in White for a year, so it was about halfway through, I think, or some months in. I think it was in late summer, August, maybe September, something like that, 2003. So that was another interaction with ETs that I've had. So I hope you enjoy that story, and I will give you further information and experiences I had with the monastery with meditation and visions and things like that. Thank you.